You're building something incredible, an extraordinary life, and a body of work that reflects your values, your excellence, and your deeper mission. A business that supports your lifestyle, a lifestyle that reflects your priorities, and a legacy that doesn't ask you to sacrifice yourself in the process. But here's the part that high achievers often miss. Growth without intention creates energy debt even when everything on your calendar looks aligned, right? Because not all energy drains come from misaligned commitments. Whoa. Some come from saying yes to the right things at the wrong time. Some come from holding more than your energy was ever meant to carry. And some come from assuming that you can handle it instead of asking if it's truly meant for you to do right now. And I talk a lot about right now because it's so important. That's where clarity comes into play, knowing if something is in alignment for this season, right? It isn't just a conversation about saying no today. That's not what I'm going to be talking about. It's not about doing less. It's about how you protect one of your most strategic assets, your energy. Because every yes that you commit to is either expanding your capacity or it's eroding it. So today, we're going to be talking about how to make intentional decisions that honor your energy and how to move towards expansion without overextending yourself. Now, for those of you who are new to me, hello again. My name is Leslie Gadet, and I am a self-care strategist for high-achieving women who are building businesses and movements that matter. And they also want to make sure that they do all of that without sacrificing their time, their energy, their alignment, or their personal well-being. Now, I help women like you optimize your time, energy, and your focus in a way that is designed for how you think, create, lead, and make high-level decisions. Now, I believe personally that traditional time management and self-care strategies were not designed with energy management as part of the equation, which is why I don't teach surface-level self-care strategies. It's not about manicures, massages, or buying yourself something nice. Those are great. That's a celebration of you. What I talk about and what I teach about is foundational and functional self-care that supports the systems behind your success, behind your boundaries, your decision making, your emotional clarity, your energy protection, your schedule. Because when your foundation is strong, your impact becomes sustainable. So here's what we're unpacking today. Why unintentional growth creates energy debt, no matter how successful you are. Two, how your yes becomes your legacy because every decision either expands or it erodes your capacity to do the things that you do. The critical energy investment high performers forget to make and how that affects everything that you care about, why even aligned opportunities can become draining if they're not filtered through the right lens, and how the yes reset method helps you expand with intention, protect what matters, and build a life that sustains you, not just your success. Now, we've talked about time and energy management on this show before. I've talked about it a lot. And if you caught last week's episode, you know how important it is for you to understand not just your energy type, but your energy timing. When are you most clear? When do you feel most creative, most energetic? When do you make your best decisions? That's what determines how your time should be spent, because time management without energy awareness will always leave you chasing capacity instead of expanding it. Okay. So today I want to bring it full circle by showing you how each yes becomes a turning point, because how you say yes determines what you're available for. It determines the quality of your time, your presence, your decision-making energy, and ultimately your legacy. So if you're in a season of growth, you're in a season of vision or momentum, this is the moment for you to pause and ask yourself, is the way I'm growing sustainable? And just so we're clear, I'm not here to tell you to slow down or to do less, okay? Instead, I want to inspire you to do what you do differently by being deeply intentional with what you say yes to. Because saying yes isn't just about your calendar. It's about your abilities, your capacity to actually do the things that you do, your energy, right? And every decision that you make either protects your energy or it drains it. And listen, you've worked too hard to get to where you are, right? Which is why your next chapter in your life shouldn't require you to sacrifice your well being in the name of success. This is about stepping into a life that reflects your vision, not just your responsibilities. A life where growth isn't something you recover from, but rather something that sustains you. So let's get into it and talk about the first point, which is why unintentional growth creates energy debt, no matter how successful you are. It's about stepping into a life that reflects your vision, not just your responsibilities. A life where growth isn't something you recover from, it's something that sustains you, right? But here's the truth that most of us don't hear often enough, and that is intentional growth creates energy debt, even when it's aligned, even when it's exciting, and even when everything looks like it's working on paper. Because growth without boundaries doesn't just stretch your schedule, it drains your clarity, it drains your focus, and your ability to lead with presence, like to be fully present in everything you're doing. And it depletes your capacity to think clearly, your ability to make confident decisions, your ability to be fully present with the people that you care about. And it also affects your ability to move through your day with the energy that your work actually requires. When your ability to operate at your optimum is drained, even the things that used to energize you can start to feel like a heavy weight. And so instead of expanding into your next level, you find yourself working harder just to maintain what you've already built. And it's not because you're doing something wrong, but because you're constantly trading energy without thinking about what you're trading it for and without refilling it. And you're saying yes to things that maybe don't align for right now, or maybe they don't align at all. And on top of that, you could be saying yes to things that could be done by somebody else. And the more momentum you build, the easier it is to accidentally build a business, build a life, a lifestyle, and a calendar that runs on overextension instead of strategy. And that's when silent burnout begins to creep in. Not just the kind that knocks you flat right away, but the kind that creeps up on you, where you feel less creative, more tired, fatigue sets in, right? And it comes in often, where you find yourself more reactive instead of responding intentionally, where you're doing more and you're connecting less with the people around you. So you are not even available to the people in your life. And the more this pattern repeats itself, the greater the risk of full on burnout. And the thing is, most people don't even know that they're in a burnout phase because they look at the symptoms as one offs. Like, I'm having an off day. Oh, well, it's because I didn't sleep well last night. Not taking into account that they've been working on something for the past 2 weeks, going to bed really super late, falling into bed right after working on something. Brain won't shut off, have a hard time getting to sleep, and they're waking up exhausted. So there's always a deeper reason. There's always clues, but a lot of the time we're focusing on just it as being a one-off. And again, like I said, the more it repeats itself, the greater risk of full-on burnout. And the part that I want you to really remember is that the bigger the vision, the more precision is required. Like, the more attention you need to pay to your decisions. Because if you're not checking what every yes is costing you, your energy becomes the debt that's paying for all the momentum you're building. This is where most high achievers begin to feel the pressure, not because they can't handle success, but because they're no longer in control of what they're trading to sustain it. Okay. So moving on, let's talk about something we don't always realize in the moment. If you've been following me for a while now, you know that I often say that every yes is a trade, and that it's really important that we become aware of what we're trading for each yes that we commit to. because every yes you give is either expanding your ability to live and lead the way you truly want to live that life that you've been wanting to, that you've been desiring, that you've been stepping into, or it's taking away at the time, energy, and focus you need to make that life possible, right? There's no such thing as a neutral trade, because every time that you say yes, you're making a deposit or you're making a withdrawal on your time, your energy, and your emotional clarity. So the real question becomes, when you're ready to make a decision to do something, the question you should be asking yourself is this yes moving me forward, or is it just keeping me in motion? Meaning, are you saying yes to busy work? Because sometimes we don't even recognize that we're saying yes to busy work, or saying yes to something that actually moves the needle, right? Because just being busy isn't the same as building something meaningful, nor is it in the long run being productive. And just because you can do it doesn't mean it belongs on your plate, right? When your yes, though, when it aligns with your energy, when it aligns with your values, it aligns with your vision, it becomes a powerful contribution to what you're working towards, that legacy that you're working towards, right? It's not no longer just a task on your calendar that you get to mark as done. It's not just a role that's filled, right? But it becomes a reflection of what truly matters to you. Your yes is how you vote for the life that you're building. I want you to think about that. Every yes that you commit to is you saying, this is what I vote for. This is what I commit to. This is what I believe is going to lend to that life, that quality of life that I want. Or if you're not aware of it, every yes that you're committing to is taking you away from that quality of life. So if your calendar is filled with obligations, tasks, or even opportunities that really don't truly reflect the future that you say that you want, then your life's going to begin reflecting these commitments instead of your vision, right? They're not going to have the vision of the life that you want isn't going to be reflected in what you're committing to, because you're saying yes to things out of obligation, or even things that are what I call them are opportunities disguised, distractions disguised as opportunities, that are really taking you away from that bigger vision. It's not about just managing your time or energy. It's really about you protecting the resources that support your vision. It's not just about managing what you can handle, right? It's about being intentional with what you choose to carry. It's not just about how much you can take on, because a lot of the time we think, oh, I've got it, I've got all this energy. It's really about whether or not what you're taking on actually moves you forward towards the vision that you have for your life. And it's about making sure that your efforts are aligned with what matters most, and about ensuring that what you do actually reflects the life that you actually want to create. Basically, it's you intentionally protecting your highest value energy for the things that move the needle, not just fill your time. Okay. And I want to remind you again, this is something I've been saying for quite a long time now. It's simply that just because you have white space on your calendar doesn't mean that you have to fill every time slot with something to do. Let me say it another way. Every time you allow yourself to pause, to rest, to not be in constant motion, you're not slowing down your success. You're actually protecting the energy that sustains it. So, white space on your calendar is actually a good thing, because when you're intentional with your yes, you create space for strategy, not just survival. You show up with clarity, right? Not just commitment. And you build a life that sustains you, not one that just constantly demands recovery time, right? So now that we've talked about how each yes shapes your vision, let's talk about the energy investment that too many of us high performers, again, and I'll count myself there because sometimes I fall into the trap. This is what I do, but I also understand that and I can get myself out of it. But a lot of us fall into this trap, and we forget to make to understand that what we're doing is going to cost us more than we realize, right? Because here is what happens. We plan, right? We have a plan. That's usually what most people are doing who are high achievers, high performers. We have a plan. We've planned out the next, let's just say quarter, okay? We're moving into the end of quarter one. So now we're planning for quarter two. So we plan it. We decide what we're going to be doing each week, each day, each of that week, each month to get to that quarter's goal. We commit to it and then we show up, right? But what we most often forget to protect is the energy it actually takes to follow through well on everything that we've said yes to. You might have time blocked, for example, something important like a strategy session where you're finally mapping out your next level, but your mind is foggy and clarity just won't come. Or you might have a deep client call where something transformational was revealed to you by your client, but now you actually are too drained to hold space the way you want to. Or maybe you have an evening out with your significant other, your partner. You've been looking forward to this. You both have. You've been planning for this. But instead of connecting, you find yourself irritable, distracted. You're looking at your watch. You're saying, oh, it's 8 p.m. and we just got here, right? Now, if you're a parent, a moment with your kids too, where you wanted to be fully present, maybe it doesn't go the way you hoped it would because, well, you're not fully present because you're replaying emails or mentally running through tomorrow's to-do list, right? And if your energy's already been drained by everything that you said yes to earlier in the day or even earlier in the week, because that can really play a significant role in our energy even further in the week, how we show up earlier in the week. No matter how meaningful that planned moment is or that you want it to be, you're not going to have enough of yourself left to be fully present for it. Let me explain what I mean when I say that the energy that you had maybe at the end of the week, you don't have energy anymore because it depended on what you did in the earlier of the week. It could be that you had Monday through Wednesday were back-to-back meetings. And then, or even just two of those days were back-to-back meetings. And now Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, you're playing catch up on your energy. You're playing catch up on feeling like you're drained because I took a lot out of you and you didn't really plan it out well, even though you had that time frame. Even if you had 5 hours in a day and you decided, well, I got 5 hours, so I'll have 3 meetings and then 2 hours of that time I'll work on projects, but not recognizing that your energy has to be able to support that, right? And if you're not the type of person that can handle a 5 hour block like that of time, it's going to take more out of you than you realize, because that day you might then at the end of the day fall into bed exhausted. It's still going to there's going to be repercussions of it the next couple of days afterwards because you drained your energy again, right? This is where the invisible cost starts to show up, because you keep your commitments, okay, but you don't feel connected to them, okay, because again, the energy isn't there. You show up for the people that you love in the things that you say you're going to do with them, but you're not really with them, right? Or you deliver on work that you've promised, whether it's working with a client, depending on what you do, but it takes more out of you than it gives back. This is the gap no one's talking about. The energy required to be fully present in the moments that matter, when you need to actually be energized. Again, it's not solely about time and the availability of it. You can carve out an hour on your schedule, right? You can. But if you show up depleted, if you're distracted, you're emotionally scattered, that hour isn't going to serve you. You're not going to be able to do what it is that you set out to do effectively, right? And it certainly isn't going to serve the people you care about either if you've carved out, okay, I've had maybe you had a busy day. Let's get back to that 5 hour day, like I said, right? And then at the end of that day, it was a family outing where you're going out to dinner at one of the kids' favorite restaurants, and you're just not emotionally present because you are exhausted, right? This is why protecting your energy isn't just a business decision, okay? It is a relational one too, because when you're constantly running on low reserves, it doesn't just affect your professional life, it bleeds into your personal life as well. It affects your presence when you're with the people that you love, doing the things that you said that you want to do with each other, but you're not there. It's affecting your mood. You might be super cranky, not meaning to be, but it's just that you're exhausted, and it could be affecting your tone, how you say what you say, even if maybe you don't mean it that way. It's just coming across that way. And it also can affect your ability to really connect and be available to the people that you care about. Again, that is a hidden energy leak. It's not in the doing, it's in how you show up for what matters most after the doing is done. And for high performers like you, like us, as I said, I count myself among that, this becomes the biggest blind spot because we are capable of doing so much, which makes it so easy to overlook the toll that it's taking underneath the surface. And here's the truth. Sustained success doesn't come from doing more, okay? It comes from protecting the energy that allows you to show up fully for your vision that you're working towards, for the people in your life, for the people that you work alongside, and even for yourself, for those moments for yourself. Okay, let's take it one layer deeper because alignment without boundaries still leads to depletion. And that can be really one of the most confusing and frustrating things for high performers, especially women like us who are doing all the right things. You're saying yes to aligned clients, right? You're saying yes to aligned collaborations. You're saying yes to aligned ideas that truly excite you. But without the right decision filter in place, even a yes that looks aligned on paper can quietly drain you. And here's why. Just because something feels aligned doesn't mean it belongs right now, okay? Not everything that looks like a fit belongs in this season of your life or your business. Even if it feels important, it doesn't mean it's important for right now. Because I know we all operate from how things make us feel, right? But this is important for you to really recognize. This is where your energy starts to leak subtly, slowly, and again, often invisibly, because you take on something good, but your calendar's already full. Like you say, oh, well, one more thing, I'll just make it work, right? Or you say yes to a project that's aligned with your values. It's something that, yeah, that sounds good, but it's not in alignment with what you're focused on right now, which could then dilute what you're doing right now if you say yes to it. And you might even join a collaboration that lights you up, but it fractures your attention across too many directions. And the hardest part, these are not bad decisions, they're just unfiltered ones. Because without filtering them through the lens of timing, of mental bandwidth, of alignment for this season of your life or business, you're going to be making energy trades you didn't mean to make or that you didn't mean to make right now. It's often why I say that distractions are often disguised as opportunities. They don't show up waving red flags. They show up wrapped in possibility, in compliments, in potential. And if you don't have a clear way to filter those yes decisions, you'll end up building a beautiful life that still burns you out. Because growth that isn't filtered will still cost you, even when it looks good on the outside. Okay, so now that we've uncovered how energy leaks happen, even through aligned decisions, let's talk about how you shift out of that reactive cycle and into a more intentional way of growing, living, and leading. That's exactly what my framework, the Yes Reset Method, was built for. It's a high performance decision making framework that will give you a repeatable way to filter your commitments before they cost you more than they give, before they drain the energy you've worked so hard to protect, and before they drain your ability to show up fully in the moments that matter most. Again, this isn't about saying no to everything. I want to be clear about that. It's about saying yes with full body clarity, with a yes that honors your bandwidth, with a yes that supports your current focus, and with a yes that creates momentum without compromising your well being, without sacrificing your peace or your presence, without draining what keeps you grounded, without pushing your needs to the side, because that often happens, right? And without costing you more than it gives back. I want you to imagine just for a second. I'm going to give you a couple hypotheticals. You get invited to speak at a virtual summit. It's aligned, it's exciting, it's a big audience, chance to get in front of a huge audience, but you're already in a season where right now you're rebuilding your offer suite, you're onboarding new clients, and you're juggling family obligations. Old you might have said yes out of fear of missing out or not wanting to disappoint maybe the person who's asked you to be a part of it. But with the yes reset method, you pause and you run it through the filter. Does this align with my highest priority focus for right now? Am I saying yes from alignment or obligation? And what am I trading for this yes? Again, remember, every yes is a trade. And from that place of clarity, you realize the opportunity is right, but the timing isn't. So instead of saying yes out of pressure or obligation, right, you might respond with, this looks like a great fit and I really appreciate the invitation, but right now I'm focused on X, but would definitely love to be considered for the next one. Or you could say something like, I'm honored you thought of me. The timing doesn't align for me right now, but please keep me in mind for future events. I'd love to explore it with you when I can fully show up and support what you're doing. That right there is a strategic yes, not a draining one, right? However, if it can fit in and it does really align and you believe that it's going to actually help you with what you're doing in the current season, absolutely, then taking it through this decision filter, being able to say quickly, oh yeah, this is exactly what I've been looking for, exactly what I need right now, then of course you're going to say yes. But if it's not a right fit, it's okay to say not right now. Now, another hypothetical could be, let's say, okay, it's Thursday night. Your week has been jam-packed with meetings and client calls, and you have Friday booked off to take yourself out for a nice, just relaxing day, right? Time to recharge, time to reflect on your week, reconnect with yourself, just be you. But then a high-level client asks you if they can squeeze in a last-minute call with you, and it's not the first time they've done this. Now, old you might have said yes immediately, right? Because of guilt, pressure, or just this once thinking. Or if it's been a repeat thing, you could say, well, maybe it won't take so long, so I'll still be able to get in my day, right? But now instead, the new version of yourself would use the yes reset method. Instead of saying, does this align with my highest priority focus? You might change that to say something like, is this truly urgent or is this just reacting to someone else's urgency, right? Am I saying yes out of guilt or habit? Am I saying yes because I feel responsible for their energy or mine? What would saying yes cost me tomorrow, next week, right? Is it going to cost me my day? Getting into somebody else, having that last minute call, you don't know what it's about, but you get in that call. It could be a long drawn out call and it could be where it's draining of your energy, right? Another question you could ask is, how would my saying yes honor my personal boundaries? Or would saying yes honor my personal boundaries or stretch them in a way that I'll regret later, right? And with that filter, if the answer is no, you realize that protecting your day off is the leadership move. So you offer the client a Monday time slot, an additional time slot, if it's Monday, as an example, without guilt, without scrambling, without overthinking, and without over explaining. That's how you protect what matters without burning bridges. And it's protecting and honoring your boundaries, right? For your time, your energy. Now, the yes reset method is how you stop overthinking because you've trained yourself to make aligned decisions without spiraling into second guessing. So that you can move forward with clarity instead of getting stuck in mental loops, right? You stop overcommitting because you know how to filter what's truly aligned for your energy, for your focus and priorities, so that your calendar actually reflects your vision, what you're working on right now, not just your responsibilities, right? You create boundaries that don't need a long explanation because you're no longer seeking validation for protecting your time and energy. So your decisions will come from clarity, not guilt. so that your boundaries speak for themselves, right? You learn to make space for what lights you up without sacrificing what keeps you grounded, so that you don't have to choose between joy and stability, because I know that can happen a lot. Instead, you can expand your impact without tipping into burnout or chaos behind the scenes. Again, burnout usually isn't on the radar. It's usually just the one-offs of this symptom or that symptom. And then you build momentum without creating emotional debt, so that you can sustain your growth over time without constantly needing to recover, reset, or retreat from the very success that you've created. Because the more success you create, the more critical it's going to become to protect the energy behind it. And the way you expand that, it becomes the legacy that you are leaving, that you are building. Now, if you're ready to refine your decision-making process so that every yes fuels your success, I invite you to book a yes reset strategy call with me, where we'll identify where misaligned yes decisions are costing you more than they're giving you, so that you can implement a decision filter, helping you to move with confidence, not hesitation, and optimize your choices so that every commitment fuels your impact, not drains it. Then comment below or send me a message directly, and I'll send you the link to book your call. Look, you've worked too hard and you've made too many bold moves and shown up for so many people, that to build a version of success that quietly drains you is not what you want, right? You deserve a life that reflects your vision, not just the things that you say are your responsibilities. You want a business that sustains you, a schedule that honors your time and energy, and relationships that actually receive the best of you, not just what's left of you. So for this next chapter of your life, it's not about pushing harder. It's about protecting what matters most. It's not about building a life that looks perfect, because there's no such thing as perfect. It's about building one that feels right for you, because how you expand is part of the legacy you leave. And that legacy starts with one powerful yes at a time. The yeses that put you back in the driver's seat of your energy, your time, your focus, so that you are saying yes to the things that really move you forward. Thanks for tuning in today. I really appreciate you spending time with me. And if you haven't done so yet, please be sure to hit the subscribe button so that you never miss out for when I go live. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you next time.